They say a simple flap of a butterfly's wings in the Amazon can cause a hurricane on the other side of the planet. Meet Joe. How on earth did he find himself hurled into the air, I hear you wonder? Easier than you'd imagine. But in order to grasp the intricacies of this story, one must go back to earlier that same day. At exactly 10:30 that morning, Joe was going through his daily ritual picking out his favorite pastry. At that same moment, the Akinori family entered LUX Grand Baie's lobby. Their youngest daughter, Atana, was about to go through a life-changing experience, seeing the ocean for the first time. Full of wonder, she ran towards the sea. But at the opportune moment, she noticed the pastries on display. And all it took to change the course of history was a distracted little girl setting off a series of events that would change the life of Joe forever. At 10:57, in an attempt to mitigate any long-term damage, Christina very liberally splashed water on her dress to avoid any staining. But in her absent-mindedness, she forgot the effect of water on white clothes, attracting the wandering eyes of more than a few. One of whom was the underwear model Carlos, whose brief inattentiveness would cause a startling discharge. Joe, on the other hand, was living it up, enjoying his Joe L'Americano, a cocktail tailored exactly to his liking. At 12:08, upon the insistence of his wife, Carlos took up water skiing. Hence how he found himself precariously perched on a wooden stick over open water with greasy hands. That's how he failed to notice Jane, a prolific journalist on assignment here, and in her suspended state of bliss was oblivious to the oncoming skier. A few meters away, our friend Joe was enjoying his time learning the ins and outs of line fishing on Noel's pirogue, a local fisherman. Following her little misadventure, Jane decided to seek out her earlier state of serenity. At 13:12, she entered the spa. Within seconds, Jane was back to her initial state of bliss. A distinct scent filled the room, triggering memories of summers in Tuscany. She would realize then it was actually the perfume worn by the woman sitting next to her, the enigmatic Patricia Perel, heiress to the HMVL fortune. Jane had actually noticed Patricia the night before at the restaurant. Patricia, ever so charismatic, had the whole table entranced. Jane recognized the jewel she was wearing as the one that was sold at an auction to an unknown buyer 7 years earlier for a rather ridiculous sum of money. She had covered the event. Joe, on the other hand, was relishing the hamachi sushi. So, taken by their serendipitous connection, the two bonded instantly. They chatted for hours. At 16:41, they entered Bisou, the rooftop bar, where Joe's life was about to change. Patricia shared more stories of her life, and while exuberantly describing her adventures, whittling the love branch with her fifth husband, a clumsy gesture would have the brooch flying into the air. Jane leapt out of her chair to catch the priceless piece, and if little Atana hadn't noticed the pastries, if Christina hadn't bumped into the coffee, if Carlos hadn't been distracted, and Jane hadn't missed her flight to meet Patricia in the spa, well, our fable would have no beginning. And in our little bubble of paradise, everything simply falls in its rightful place. So butterflies can flutter passionately